Welcome to Crow's Corner. I'm Jenny. In today's episode, we'll be making all of the tiny little magical objects and items that go in the greenhouse, including the iconic Mandrake and a tiny illuminated manuscript. I hope you enjoy it. Starting by making some tiny little scrolls. You can imagine all sorts of literature, scrolls, papers, books that would teach the students at Hogwarts how to become really good at herbology. And this paper is just it's like art paper, something that you would use for scrapbooking or printmaking, something like that. I bought it years ago and it's sort of a parchment looking type of paper. The next thing was to make little sheets of paper that maybe the students are taking notes on. I did age these up a little bit, and I used some Distress Oxide to do that. And then I just took a black ink pen and pretended to write little stories on these papers. I'm not sure what there would actually be written on there, all sorts of notes, I guess. And then the next thing was to make the world's tiniest little seed packs. These are really hard to see, even if you're up close, but I kind of just sketched out some like little vegetables, little plants and flowers and herbs and things like that those might represent the seeds that are inside. And then using one of my duck's feathers. No, I did not pluck it. They fall on the ground. Using one of my duck's feathers, I decided to make a little quill. And here's a little stool that I'm making. I just took some tiny little dowels and angled the ends a little bit. And then some of the basswood sheets that I have, I cut out a little circle and used some wood glue with the 3 little legs. It's kind of a wonky little stool, but I imagine it would be kind of wonky. I just stained it a little bit with some dirty paint water. The next step was to take these little glass jars that I had. Most of these came from Temu. Got different shapes, different sizes, and I'm just filling them with various bits of plant matter, a lot of different bits of moss, dried moss, and various other objects, just to look like maybe they're studying the plant, or maybe they have some sorts of fertilizer in there. These are little dried leaf shapes. I used these on the big tree that I made. I think it was the first video, so if you haven't checked that out, look at the Hogwarts Greenhouse playlist. It is a little bit difficult to get everything inside of these because they have such a tiny little opening. As always, the materials that I'm using can be found in my Amazon list in the description. So now I'm taking a little bit of chalk pastel, some really neon pink chalk pastel, and attempting to make a funnel so I can get it inside of this tiny bottle. And it wasn't easy, but it's, you know, making a funnel is better than trying to put it in there without one. And I just love the way that it sort of almost shimmers inside. You can see the color kind of glows. It's very magical. And aging all the bottles up, of course, and then gluing the lids down so we don't have any accidents. And this next step, I'm using a little bit of the Distress Oxide to make these little tools look kind of rusty and aged and dirty and well used. These tools came from Temu as well, so check out the Temu haul video if you haven't already done that. And as usual, I'll have a link to the Distress Oxide in the description. Someone asked in one of the comments on a previous video if you need to seal the Distress Oxide, and as long as you're not planning on touching any of these things, you probably don't need to worry about it. But they are water-based. I mean, they're made to sort of give that watercolor, splotchy, watery textured look to things. Usually paper is what they're meant to be used for because they're ink. So yes, I would definitely seal it. There are various things out there that people recommend. I've never tried sealing this, so I can't really give you any recommendations on what kind of product to use. Now here's me trying to use polymer clay to make a little mandrake. I find polymer clay to be kind of difficult. It seems to squish and mush in directions you don't want it to, and even just lightly gripping it, it was kind of getting out of shape. So if you have any recommendations or tips on how to make this stay the shape you want it to be in, let me know. Got the head formed, so now I'm trying to give him a little bit of a belly before I give him his scraggly root-like tail, legs and arms, whatever you want to call it. Tiny belly button. And again, you can see how he's kind of squished sideways from the sides from my fingers holding him, and I really wasn't putting that much pressure on it. But in the end, he works out, and I'm really, really happy with the end result. A grumpy baby looking root. So using a mixture of a couple of sort of browns and ochres, give him a base coat. Before I put him in the oven, I did pierce a little hole in the top so that I had a place to stick the leaves once I finished painting him. And I did this kind of out of order, and I almost kind of panicked, but I used the Distress Oxide to give him some dirtied colors and, you know, moss and stuff, and then realized I had not aged him with my dirty paint water mixture. So the dirty paint water mixture that I put on after this kind of smears and smudges the distress oxide, doing exactly what I was talking about, which is, you know, what the distress oxide is used for. So I thought I'd ruined it, but I kind of dab off the watery mixture a little bit, and it looked fine to me. I was really happy. I was like, hey, even though it kind of mixed everything around, it looked great to me, so I left it that way. Using a little bit of super glue and some little dried fake plants to create the top of the mandrake. A little bit of coffee and Mod Podge mixed together to make the soil. I ended up putting a little bit too much in there, but I was able to squish him down to fit. I didn't fill it all the way up until I put him in, and then I added more. And there he is. Kind of a mix between a potato and a root and a baby. And the next thing was to add in some text, some books. Of course, they're studying these and with dirty little fingers and dirty wands, so they need to be aged. And I used a couple of different colors of the distress oxide to do that. And here's where I begin to make the illuminated manuscript. I took one of these books and bent it back so that it looked like it was open and being used, and really kind of muddled up the corners, made them look really worn, and dirtied it up first of all. An illuminated manuscript is sort of a medieval book that uses a lot of really beautiful illustrations and colors and flowery letter designs. Using my line drawing pens, I started to draw in a plant, various colors. I wanted it to be very bright and colorful. This plant, I didn't really have a reference for it. I was just trying to think in the style of the illuminated manuscripts. Creating the giant first letter that is indicative of text in an illuminated manuscript. And adding in some gold just to kind of frame it up a bit, give it a little shimmer. The next thing was I felt like it absolutely needed some kind of serpent, some kind of dragon, so I put that in there. And the final little thing on here that I draw, it has to be a mandrake, of course. And the final text. I really, really, really like how this turned out. And sit back and just enjoy this next few minutes where I take everything that I've made and decorate this workbench. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate that. It's free and it's easy just to click that button and hit the like button as well if you can. There are about 80% of you that are watching my videos and not subscribed, so I know you're out there and know you can do this. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, have a good one.